Happy New Year, Bald Father community. So we are here now with the college football quarterfinal picks. Quick recap of last night, but first, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Notifications on, support our channel, like, share, comment on this video. Always keep these picks for free, always keep the winners free. Just ask for you guys to help support, grow the channel. Last night we had the Lions. They covered, hopefully you guys got it in at 3.5 because you take my advice on numbers, but they covered any number that you would have had. They won the game by 6. Yeah, they won the game by 6. So it's a good win for the Lions. Started out very scary there. If you also happen to play the halftime, it was Lions -6 at halftime, so you won that for sure. But good day to be a Lions backer. 49ers kind of did what they do all season, which is the offense kind of struggled there at the end, asked Purdy to put a lot on him without having some of his usual outlets like Ayuk and McCaffrey. Threw 2 picks. The first one just sailed on him. The second one, Kirby Joseph did a really good job baiting him into it. They'd been hitting Ricky Pearsall all night long for like 15, 20, 25-yard gains, all this, and I mean, looked like he had him wide open again, coming off of a slant out of the slot, and Kirby was playing single high safety. He was playing robber, essentially, because he wasn't really, I mean, had they had a go route to the outside and they had beaten the corner, Lions probably would have been screwed, but he wasn't really coming back. He was playing robber. He was coming up, and baited Purdy into it perfectly, took the ball away, and then that was really the big difference in the game. So Lions get the win there. Jake Bates needs to clean up his extra point issues, but really outside of that, positive game. So we are now at our quarterfinal pick. So I was going to hit you guys the video tonight and a video tomorrow morning. However, I am now going to the Peach Bowl. Decision was made on that one. So got to get up pretty early in Birmingham, Alabama to drive over to Atlanta to get to that one. So definitely going to hit you guys with the video to all of it now. And then we'll probably come back in with some community posts to confirm picks, or probably not going to give you a Sugar Bowl play today. Probably going to tell you how I'm leaning and then give a confirmation via community post. So we're starting out with the Fiesta Bowl. You have a Boise State team, one of the best rushing attacks in the country, going up against Penn State. Pretty balanced Penn State. Talent-wise, Penn State, I believe, in the 11th or 10th or 12th or something like that, and 247 college team composite. And then Boise State somewhere in the 70s, mainly made up of 3-star recruits on Boise State's team. Maddox, who's been serviceable for them as quarterback, not asked to do a lot. Most of the time, Boise State is significantly better than whoever they're playing outside of the game that they played against Oregon. They broke off several big runs against Oregon in that game. Caught Oregon out of position a lot. That was, I think, week 2 in the season. Penn State has had several big games this year. Lost 2, their 2 biggest ones, lost to Ohio State as an underdog and lost to Oregon as an underdog. And then obviously you guys saw what they did to SMU last week. Unfortunately, we were on SMU. Started out good, looked good, and then pick 6 galore, and Penn State ends up kind of bringing that one home. Game is really going to come down to Boise State will, I wouldn't really be surprised if Ashton Jeanty has 150 yards in this game. Boise State will run. They will get their yards through the ground, on the ground on this one. You can get Penn State sometimes. They can be susceptible to runs. You will see it. You will see Boise State run. You will see Jeanty run. The game's really going to come down to when Penn State has the ball. So Boise State is extremely good at getting sacks, but they do it by blitzing. Their pressure rate is not, their pressure win rate is not all that high for the fact that they're like 2nd or 3rd in the country or something in sacks. So they get to the quarterback, they do so by blitzing. They oftentimes overpower the other team's offensive line because, in the group of 5, they're they're the Alabama, they're the Georgia, they're the team with all the superior talent compared to the other group of 5 teams that they're playing. So they're able to do so. There's a chance that can play into Penn State's hands. Penn State loves the hand it off to Allen, hand it off to Singleton, screen pass to Warren, screen pass to Singleton. They're not a team that really wants to beat you by trying to set up deep, long passes. They will sometimes to like Wallace, but they're really not looking to do that. They're really looking to kind of beat you kind of methodically, and then just over the course of the game really come out the superior and more dominant physical team, more better executing, all those sorts of things. Kotelnicki has been a jolt for them. He's one of the better offensive coordinators in the country, and he's really kind of unlocked some of the stuff that they have in that offense. You guys know that I'm a big Drew Aller fan. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I think he's an eventual first-round draft pick in the NFL, and obviously he has a lot more talent than Maddox does on the other side. So I am thinking and feeling that Penn State will hold up to the Boise State pass rush. I think that their offense is kind of designed actually to do it. It's designed to go up against a team that's going to blitz that much, especially a team that's going to, it's one thing if you're blitzing that much and you have Ohio State's defenders, but you're blitzing that much and you have Boise State's defenders. It's just going to be a little different. I think you could feel that the game's kind of tight, close early, because Boise State's going to get yards. They are going to run the ball. You will not see Penn State come in here and just shut that offense down and not allow Boise State to run the ball at all. But on the flip side of that, I don't think Boise State's going to have a lot of success getting Penn State off the field. And eventually, I think the superior athletes here win. I like Penn State to cover the 11. We're doing that one for 20 units. It's one of my favorite plays in college football this year. It's only my second 20-unit play of the year. Actually, in a really similar situation when we were on Ohio State against Indiana. It was just kind of this roster is better than this roster type game. So anyway, Penn State tonight, like them to cover the numbers. Then we get into the Texas-Arizona State game. Similar situation, but not like you may think. I think I said Team Talent Composite 247 Sports. I think I said Boise State was in the 70s and Penn State was like 11. I think Arizona State's like 30. So there's a significant difference in terms of the amount of talent on the Arizona State team versus the amount of talent on the Boise State team. On the flip side of that, though, Texas is 5. And if you get into and you really kind of start to see the drop-offs, the difference between 5 and 11 is actually quite big. Of the overall total number for composite, 5 is like you're in that upper echelon of the best rosters in the country, and Texas is. This one is also going to come down, I think, to the favorite in terms of when they have the ball on offense. I do think you will see ASU score. I do think you will see ASU move the ball. I know the comments by Scadaboo and Levitt were kind of brash, and people are saying, oh, I don't know if you want to say that, but I think a lot of what they said was true. Levitt has had a better season than Quinn Ewers this year, and Cam Scadaboo, no one has really stopped him. Now, he has been held. In the games he was held, they lost 2 of them. So he has been held, but that doesn't mean that he won't get his at times. And I don't think he'll have as many yards as Genty at the end of the day, but he could do well in this one. So what this, I think, is really going to come down to is when Texas is on offense. Arizona State very quietly has a very good run defense. What they don't do is create any sort of pressure whatsoever. If you've been watching Quinn Ewers over the kind of course of his career, and this is Quinn Ewers now with what seems to be a near 100% ankle, which that had really been limiting his ability to do. He's not like a scrambler for run, but he'll maneuver in the pocket, extend a play, and then make a really good throw. It's one of his better talents, and it had been kind of taken away from him for several games this year because of his ankle. It appears that it's back. He did it a few times in in the SEC championship game, and he did it a few times against Clemson. What I think you're going to see is when Quinn Ewers is pressured, he kind of loses all control. QBR goes way down. He's not accurate, all that stuff. When Quinn Ewers has time, that's when all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is why he's the highest quarterback recruit in the past 10 years. He's extremely accurate. I think in this game you're going to see him have time. Arizona State really lacks any ability to get pressure, and that was going up against Big 12 offensive lines. Texas is a finalist for the Joe Moore Award and arguably the best offensive line in the country. So I like Texas's offensive line to win the matchup against Arizona State's defense, especially in passing situations, which then opens the door for Texas's wide receivers to kind of exploit what is the weakness of the ASU defense in their secondary and their ability to get caught through the pass game. So I think Texas will win this one. I do think they'll cover the number. You can get it at 12 right now. And so not like I like Penn State, because like I said, that talent gap isn't quite the same. Doing that one for 5 minutes. There is a world where ASU and Scattaboo keep this thing very close into the fourth quarter. I do see that as a potential. We're then moving into the Rose Bowl, Ohio State and Oregon, where you've had some line movement back and forth. Line came out all the way to Ohio State -1, got bet up to 2.5, hung out at 2.5 for a really long time. Now you can get it at 2.5 or 2. So you guys know that I think Ohio State's the best team in the country, so you can probably kind of understand where I'm going to go with this one. If you look at their first matchup, Ohio State really changed their defensive philosophy after that first matchup, and they got more aggressive in terms of bringing pressure. Ever since the Michigan game 3 years ago, Ohio State really, and then the Georgia game after that, Ohio State really changed their defensive philosophy to, okay, we're not going to give up big plays. And then they did that really successfully. Last year had one of the best defensive units in the country, came up short against Michigan in the final game, and Michigan obviously went undefeated and won the national title, so kind of understandable. This year, they had come in with the same philosophy. They were doing all the same things. Then they played Oregon, and they gave up 32 points. So since then, they've gotten a lot more aggressive. Now, what that's going to do is it's either going to pay off for them and that they get to Dylan Gabriel, or it can backfire in that, hey, maybe they still get to Dylan Gabriel, but his elusiveness, he's able to utilize his legs even more than he did in the first game, which he did get him with his, the final touchdown, go-ahead touchdown by Gabriel, I believe, was the run where he utilized his legs and really got him. So what you're wanting to see from the Ohio State defense is to keep Gabriel off schedule. Now, on the flip side of this, in the first half of the game, Ohio State ran quite well against Oregon. I think they had over 100 yards rushing in the first half, and then they got shut down in the second half. Ohio State has regressed when it comes to rushing, mainly because of the loss of Simmons and because of the loss of McLaughlin since the first game that they played each other. So you're going to see Ohio State throw to run, similar to the game plan they had against Tennessee versus the game plan that they had against Michigan. If they come out with the game plan that they had against Michigan, they'll lose by 4 touchdowns. But yeah, I think you'll see them utilize the throw to run philosophy. I believe Jeremiah Smith is correct in his comments. If they try to play a man, the Oregon, he'll beat them deep several times. If Will Howard is accurate, which for the most of the year he has been, really the only game in which he was inaccurate was against Michigan, and that was due to a few things, and that they really never gave him the opportunity to get into rhythm. But I do think you will see Ohio State be aggressive on offense early. I think you'll see them throw to run and then try and put the game away later with a rushing attack. It's a rematch. It's very difficult to beat a team twice, especially if you were the inferior team. Oregon is. They do not have the same roster that Ohio State does. They're close. It's not like David and Goliath here. but Ohio State is a better overall roster and team. They have one of the best rosters in the country. I like Ohio State here minus the 2. Right now we have that one at 10 units. That may get upped. So check back in for a confirmation in the community post. So final game, Notre Dame, Georgia. This is the hardest one in my opinion to get a read on. You only have a half a game film on Stockton. You have the first drive where he came out and Texas was trying to figure out what he was and what to do, and he got him. He got him pretty good. He got him for a touchdown drive that ended up being the difference in the game. And then after that, you have Texas kind of settle in, realize what he is, and then really kind of control him the rest of the game. Once he got a short field in overtime, he was able to execute a drive mainly based off of running, and then obviously his 10, 12-yard run where he got absolutely killed by Andrew Makuba. But then on the next play, ETN gets in for the touchdown and Georgia wins. So difficult to really get a read on what Georgia is offensively, especially because, you have the games where Georgia's been able to run the ball and they look good, and you have the games where Georgia hasn't been able to run the ball and they don't look good. But if they get put into a situation where they have to throw to win, I don't think they can do that like they were with Beck against Tennessee. We're able to with Beck against Tennessee. The question is how aggressive is Notre Dame going to be? A lot's been made about Georgia's inability to defend a running quarterback, which is true. You go back and you watch the film against King, against Milrose, a little different than the way Haynes King got him, and the way Ole Miss got him. But they're all running style quarterbacks, and those are the teams that were really able to take advantage of Georgia's defense. The question I have with Leonard is, in those games, those teams also threw the ball. Riley Leonard played one of the best games I've actually seen him play against Indiana. Every time they asked him to throw, he was accurate. He delivered a precision ball. Any third and medium situation, he was on top of it. I'm curious what Riley Leonard we get in the Sugar Bowl, because if Notre Dame 100% tries to go option style, because they say, hey, Georgia Tech was able to do it. These other teams were able to execute it against them. They don't like running quarterbacks, and that's how we're going to beat them. I trust Kirby Smart to have something devised for that says, okay, we know that's our weakness. We're going to take it away. Now beat us with your arm. And I'm curious if Riley Leonard has the capability to do it. Georgia likes to play man, which is why they get beat by these option-style quarterbacks sometimes. But again, that's when your man coverage really has to kind of be concerned about their man. Notre Dame has no wide receiver that is going to be any sort of threat against Georgia's defensive backs. Georgia's defensive backs in man coverage, for the most part, will lock down the Notre Dame receiving corps. Notre Dame doesn't recruit that position well. They haven't historically. They have good offensive lines. They have good running backs. They have good tight ends. There's nothing on the outside that's scary against a Georgia secondary. On the flip side of all that, on the defensive end, I don't think people are understanding how big of a loss Riley Mills. Well, initially people weren't. Now all of a sudden I'm starting to hear a lot of people talk about it. Now it's almost like I'm going a little too far. But Mills is a huge loss. In my opinion, Mills is as big of a loss as Carson Beck is being out. He starts their entire thing up front, and Notre Dame tries to shut down your run and then force you to pass, and they're very good at creating turnovers and all that stuff. They're very sound defensively. But now over the course of the season, they lost their two best defensive linemen. It's a big loss. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in this one. We'll see what way we go. Again, very much so a toss-up right now. Want to continue to read line movement. Line came out, Notre Dame favored, got all the way up to Georgia -2, and then is now at Georgia -1. So you're seeing some buyback by sharps on Notre Dame once they're able to get the +2. I think there's a really good chance this this number ends up falling under 3. Like it's a 16-14 game, 17-16 game, 14-13, 15-13, something weird. Just because points are going to be at a premium here for sure. Defensive lines will get after it. I think Kirby will have his defense ready to go. So anyway, like I said, we'll come in with a confirmation on that one tomorrow. Nothing that we want to lock in today. Enjoy your new year. Happy New Year. Enjoy all the games. Let's go Nittany Lions, go Longhorns, go Bucks, and then we'll see on the Sugar Bowl. But Happy New Year. Thank you guys very much for supporting the channel.